we're going to start with physical rehabilitation and fitness space. And as you read in the book, there were two main problems with physical rehabilitation and fitness paradigm, okay? The two main issues were that all of the framework, strategies, techniques, exercises, etc., were based on cadaveric anatomy. So I'm going to talk about what exactly that means. And this cadaveric anatomy created the exercise paradigm. And so why is this flawed? What's the problem with this, right? And so what is cadaveric anatomy and what is exercise paradigm? So cadaveric anatomy is basically the study of the human cadaver, right? Basically someone who's dead. And we dissect the body and we look at the muscles and we create these charts, right? We create these very detailed charts of where a muscle originates and inserts, like the bicep. It's like, okay, it inserts, it originates up here in the shoulder, down into the long head, comes all the way down to the lower forearm, and oh look, it flexes the elbow and it flexes the shoulder, right? The long head of that biceps, right, across two joints. And so we break down very specifically these muscles, and then we basically go, okay, well, if we shorten that muscle, oh look, it bends the elbow, it flexes the elbow, it flexes the shoulder. Oh, okay, and write down, okay, that muscle does that. Or in the example in the book, the six-pack muscle, the rectus abdominis, right here. See, six-pack. This guy's shredded. He's got a six-pack. How do you get a six-pack? Oh, you do crunches. You do all these exercises. You do bicycles because you want to shorten and contract this as much as possible, because the way this muscle gets turned on is by contracting it. These are all conclusions we made from studying a cadaver. Big problem, because we're not walking dead people, right? Like we have to stop training ourselves like we're dead, like we're cadavers. Okay, that was a major aha moment when I started to learn from these brilliant clinicians that I studied with. And you could do that with every muscle in the book. The hamstring, I have a picture of the hamstring in the book. I flex the knee, and that's what the hamstring does. Go into a gym. People are doing leg curls. They're sitting on machines and pulling their heels toward their butts. They're lying face down on a machine and pulling their heels to their butts. They're getting on machines and doing leg extensions where they're locked in a position and they're extending their legs straight out in front of them to strengthen their quads. And then they go to the glute machines and they're doing these glute exercises where they're pushing something away from the leg press. I mean, on and on and on, the entire exercise paradigm is born based on how do we work every single one of these muscles to exhaustion. How do we isolate and get them to scream? Okay. And I did that. I mean, I was definitely a little bit of a meathead and worked out like crazy, did chest and back. Then I did bis and tris. I did push days. I did pull days when I got a little bit more advanced, but it's all underneath the same umbrella. It's all underneath this paradigm, this framework of cadaveric anatomy and the exercise paradigm. And as I said in the book, the best analogy I can give for this is the orchestra analogy. And so if you have an orchestra, obviously you want everybody playing together and at the right time, and that's what makes beautiful music. But if we are the conductor of the orchestra and we isolate each instrument, each musician, and teach them how to play as loud as possible, right? Play the French horn really loud, play the cello loud, play the violin loud, play the harp really loud, play the flute loud, play these instruments super loud, very intensely, make them very strong, and then we bring them back into the room and ask them to play music. It's very noisy. It's actually quite painful to hear such noise. This is exactly what's happening with the body. We are isolating the different parts of the body. Isolate this. We isolate the deltoid here. Let's do an arm raise. Oh, let's isolate the triceps. Do some tricep extensions. Oh, let's get on the ground and do some glute bridges and focus on squeezing the butt. Oh, here's my little ab exercise where we crunch, 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 crunch. Oh, now we're going to isolate the pec. So we're going to get all of these muscles to work really hard in isolation, and the same thing happens. We start to put them together and ask the system to work. What does that create? It creates pain, because we're basically teaching the body to speak one language. Let's call this Japanese. This is one way to do it. And then we're coming into the world and asking it to move and asking it to speak English, right? There's no translation. We can't take this and put it into normal everyday function. It doesn't work. It creates a lot of injury. Okay, and so that's the big flaw in the exercise fitness world. And that is not only just in exercise, but it's also in rehabilitation. A lot of the ways people are rehabbed, their knee problems, their ankle problems. I mean, I have had more rehabilitation on my ankles, I think, than any other human. I used to sprain my ankles all the time. And I'd be in the trainer's office and they would isolate these muscles in my foot and get them to work on isolation all day. I was in there all day. Every day after school, I would go in the trainer's office because I would chronically sprain my ankles. And I would strengthen each muscle in the foot and ankle. And what's so interesting to me is when you're sitting there doing these exercises, it's like, that's not even how the ankle was sprained. The ankle got sprained when I was standing up, turning my body from the top, and the rotation of the body from the top down into my ankle. My body wasn't able to attenuate it away from the ankle, and I sprained my ankle. Yet all the exercises to heal and rehabilitate an ankle are lying with your foot pointed straight, calf raises, and all these things that have nothing to do with what's actually going on when somebody's playing sports and when people sprain their ankles. So there's just this huge delta, this huge gap between what people actually need to be rehabilitated and to create high function, high vitality with the physical body, and what we're actually doing. And the reason for it is because of this cadaveric anatomy approach, which has created the exercise paradigm. Okay, so that's the main takeaway from the first part of chapter 2.